Picture this. There she was, my wife Ava, 8 months pregnant and dizzy from another brutal morning, curled up in the passenger seat of our SUV parked smack in our own driveway like she'd done 100 times before. The tow truck's engine growled closer, its winch rattling like it was hungry for drama. And the woman waving it forward with all the grace of a prison guard? Karen Langley, Willow Creek Estates HOA president, clipboard clutched like a holy relic, flashing that toothpaste commercial smile while she cooed. Rules are rules, Mr. Pierce. No exceptions, even for delicate situations. I planted myself between the bumper and the tow hooks, blood boiling but voice ice cold. Touch that vehicle and you're violating Florida medical emergency protections under statute 316.1935. My wife is high risk, doctor-ordered rest, and you're gambling with a baby's life for a parking ticket that doesn't even exist. Karen's perfectly arched eyebrow twitched, just once, but she recovered fast, tilting her head like I was the unreasonable one. Oh, Logan, we gave notice. This is enforcement, not personal. Property values depend on uniformity. Uniformity. Right. Because nothing screams welcoming neighborhood like towing a pregnant woman while she's literally following her OB's orders not to stand. Behind me, Ava cracked the window, one hand on her belly, voice weak but steady. It's fine, babe. Let them. I didn't move. They're not doing this. Not today. The neighbors were already gathering, phones out, whispering like this was better than Netflix. Karen crossed her arms, that fake polite mask cracking just enough to show the control freak underneath. Section 4C of the parking code. No unmoved vehicle visible over 24 hours. Engine's off now. It moved this morning. I fired back. And it's medically occupied. You're the one violating common sense. That's when the cruiser rolled up, lights flashing once. Sheriff Daniels stepped out, took one look at Ava, and his whole face softened. Ava Pierce, didn't expect to see you like this. She gave a tired smile. Rough morning, Sheriff. He tipped his hat. You need 10 minutes? Hell, I'll block the whole street. Karen opened her mouth. Nothing came out. The sheriff didn't even glance at her clipboard. He just stood there, arms folded, while the tow driver awkwardly reversed. The crowd murmured louder. Karen's cheeks went from Botox perfect to ghost white in 3 seconds flat. She spun on her heel and marched off, heels clicking like tiny defeat drums. But I caught the tremble in her hand when she dropped the violation slip. That little shake? That was the first crack. Later that night, I walked the cul-de-sac, porch light glowing soft on every driveway except ours. 3 houses had garden hoses snaked across the grass like drunk snakes. One had a work van half on the curb. Flags in colors that definitely weren't approved. 0 tickets. Just us. Because Karen had decided the new guy who once politely questioned her community beautification fees at a board meeting needed to learn his place. Ava had spoken up too, suggested wheelchair-accessible paths after her last miscarriage scare. That's when the citations started stacking like Jenga blocks. I pulled our violation folder from the drawer. First fine, 2 weeks after we moved in, for visually dense planter boxes. Then the bench my grandpa hand-carved, cherry wood, every notch done with love, got slapped with unapproved structural decor. Ava's blood pressure had spiked that week. The doctor warned her against stress. Karen didn't care. She cared about harmony. Her latest flyer on the clubhouse board screamed in bold caps, "Order preserves peace. Compliance ensures harmony." Underneath, brand new language about discretionary presidential powers. Funny, I'd read our original charter the day we closed. That clause didn't exist. The next morning, maintenance guy Pete Ramirez rolled up in the HOA cart, tape measure out, eyes on the ground like the pavement owed him money. He didn't park in our driveway, left the cart idling half a block away like a guilty getaway car. I watched from the porch bench, Ava resting inside. Pete crouched, pretended to measure mulch depth, never once meeting my eyes. Routine compliance review, he mumbled. Sure, I said. Or inventing new violations because Karen scared her thrones wobbling? His mouth twitched, almost a smile, more like shame. I don't write M. I just record. You choose what to record, Pete. He stared at Grandpa's bench a long second, fingers tracing the old initials. Didn't even use power tools, he muttered. Then, quieter. You didn't hear it from me, but they're re-voting on charter stuff this month. Retroactive. Karen's cleaning house before anyone notices. He dropped a folded flyer at the edge of the lawn and drove off without another word. I waited till he was gone, unfolded it. Same fancy HOA seal, but the enforcement section was completely rewritten, in Karen's loopy handwriting in the margins. Pass before next deadline. Confirm quorum later if needed. My stomach flipped. This wasn't sloppy paperwork. This was fraud wearing lipstick and calling itself leadership. 2 days later, the thick envelope slid under our door at 3 a.m. Like a coward's love letter. 4 new violations, 2 retroactive. 1 for refusal to cooperate with enforcement. 1 for intimidation of staff, apparently asking Pete questions counts. The bench again, now labeled eyesore disrupting community harmony. And the kicker, unauthorized use of driveway for idle medical activity. Ava read it at the kitchen table, hands trembling over her belly. She called my rest a violation, she whispered. I corrected her softly. She called your life a violation. Which is worse. This wasn't about a parked car anymore. Karen needed a public scalp to keep the rest of the sheep in line. 10 days to pay $3,200 in phantom fines or face a lien. 10 days. I didn't yell. I didn't storm the clubhouse. I sat on Grandpa's bench that afternoon, watching Karen's reserved parking spot from across the street. Her Mercedes gleamed like it had never known rules. Inside the conference room, the printer hummed nonstop. She was manufacturing more paper armor. Pete walked past pushing paint buckets, paused just long enough to mutter, "She's stacking fake votes. Only 2 board members showed last time. She's backdating everything." He kept walking. But the seed was planted. That night, I pulled the original notarized charter we received at closing. Section 8, Paragraph 3. Any amendment needs 2/3 board vote at a meeting with 67% homeowner quorum. Karen's new powers had 0 record. County website showed meeting minutes stopping cold in February. Yet her flyers referenced clauses that didn't exist. Intent. That blue ink handwriting screamed premeditation. I drafted the cease and desist on legal letterhead, citing every broken statute, and held it like a loaded gun. But I needed one more push, something undeniable she couldn't spin. So I did something simple. I hung a white banner across Grandpa's bench, built by hand. Defended by law. Nothing obscene. Nothing permanent. Just visible from the street. Karen saw it by sunset. She stood at the sidewalk with another board minion, clipboard twitching. 10 minutes later, Pete's cart rolled up. He sat there staring at the banner, hands shaking on the wheel. I walked out. Tell her it's temporary. Or write me up. Your call. He reached for the clipboard, stopped. She added a new clause last night, discretionary aesthetic interference. Gives her power to override anything that disrupts harmony. He looked sick. That's not a clause. That's a leash. He pulled another flyer from the cart. Fresh print, backdated footer, font mismatch, screaming Photoshop amateur hour. That was the last piece. I scanned it, added it to the packet, and dropped the cease and desist in the HOA mailbox myself. By morning, it was on her desk. The silence that followed felt electric. No email. No new tickets. Just the HOA website suddenly, under maintenance, and every amendment page wiped clean. She was scrubbing. But scrubbing leaves fingerprints. The knock came at dusk. Pete stood on the porch, cap in hands, eyes hollow. I'm not here as staff. I'm done. He handed me a manila folder thick as a phone book. Ava's name was 4th on the blacklist. She told us to lie about the votes. Made me print fake minutes. Said if anyone asked, they happened months ago. His voice cracked. I kept backups. Emails. Drafts. Everything. Then he pulled a flash drive. She laughed when she went after the Gonzalez girl, 17, first car, parked 2 inches over the line. Laughed. That was his breaking point. Mine too. I took the drive. You might get subpoenaed. He nodded. I'll show up. By midnight, I had everything copied, notarized affidavits ready, and a motion for emergency board suspension drafted. Karen had scheduled her rubber stamp ratification meeting for Thursday night. No live stream, closed doors. I printed color comparisons, real charter versus her forgery. Side by side, the lies glowed like neon. I slid letters under every door, a time for transparency. When was the last time you actually voted on the rules fining you? By noon, the resident forum exploded. Wait, what vote? She fined me for wind chimes I bought in 2022. The fire was lit. Thursday arrived thick with Florida humidity and the smell of coming rain. The clubhouse filled fast, 30, then 40 neighbors crammed into a room built for 50. No one looked bored. They looked awake. Karen walked in at 6:28, hair shellacked, smile glued on like cheap wallpaper. She tapped the mic. This is procedural only. No discussion. I stepped forward. Under Florida statute, we can add agenda items with majority consent. Hands shot up like a wave. She tried to protest. The mic squealed. Then the room voted. Discussion added. I plugged in the laptop. Slide 1. Her own handwriting in the margin. Pass these before deadline. Confirm quorum later. KL. Slide 2. Email ordering Pete to backdate minutes. Slide 3. Forged amendment next to county filed original. Fonts didn't match. Dates impossible. Slide 4. Her internal memo labeling us high-risk properties for undermining authority. The room went graveyard quiet, then erupted. My name's on that list too. She fined me for pavers approved 2 years ago. Karen stepped back, hand trembling on the podium. For the first time, the Queen had no script. Our attorney Marcella stood. Miss Langley, any further alteration of records is now under state registrar review. A formal complaint has been filed. Karen's face did something ugly, half sneer, half panic. Then she turned and walked out the side door without a word. No clipboard. No comeback. Just the click of heels fading into silence. Pete took the mic next, voice steady for the first time in years. I enforced lies for 4 years. Watched her scare families over bird feeders and skateboard chalk. I'm done. He held up his resignation. The room gave him a standing ovation, slow, solid, real. Then the vote. Motion for board suspension passed unanimously. I was named interim compliance chair until a clean election. Karen's nameplate hit the trash can with a beautiful metallic thunk. 2 weeks later, the new board overturned 14 fake amendments, wiped 21,000 in bogus fines, and voided every lien. Pete stayed on as volunteer oversight. First act was carving a new wooden sign for the office door. Community maintained by community consent. No more enforcement authority, president only. Ava went into labor early but safe. Our daughter arrived at 4:27 a.m., tiny, loud, perfect. We named her Nora. When we brought her home, the neighbors had tied a simple banner to the porch rail. Welcome home, Nora. Willow Creek's newest voice. Someone, probably Pete, had sanded and sealed Grandpa's bench, carving one new line beneath the old initials. Protected, not permitted. We sat on that bench the evening the first potluck invite went out. No fines, just food and fireflies. Ava rested her head on my shoulder, Nora between us, and for the first time in months her hand on her belly was peaceful, not protective. The neighborhood didn't just survive Karen Langley. It woke up. So tell me, was Karen Langley wrong for just enforcing the rules, or was the real crime how she rewrote them in secret to play God over pregnant wives, war veterans, and hand-carved benches? Was I the neighborhood troublemaker for fighting back, or the guy who reminded everyone they still had a voice? Drop your answer in the comments. Because the next clipboard Karen might be coming for your driveway tomorrow.